all right. Happy New Year to all the good Western New York boys and girls out there. Long time no see. Hope you all had a great Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or all of them. If you had a merry, happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, I hope you were there. To our friends in Buffalo in the 716, we hope you are safe. Obviously, our prayers, thoughts, and condolences go to everybody who was impacted by the storm. We want to welcome you back to another weekly meeting video cast for the Western New York Pride and Loyalty Administration at WNYPLA.com. I am Senior Fellow at the WNYPLA. I am Tim Sampsell. Glad to be with you. Follow me on Twitter and the Commission. Like our page here on Facebook. Like and subscribe on YouTube, the WNYPLA page on YouTube. Check out WNYPLA.com for more. And don't forget, you can shop Amazon through WNYPLA.com as well. That's a great way to, of course, support us. Lots to talk about with you. Obviously, we did not go live on Christmas night. We would have liked to, but obviously it was Christmas night. So that was not happening. But the Bills have, for the third straight year, clinched the division. By the way, I know it was on New Year's Eve, but I want to wish everybody, all the good boys and girls that are Bills fans out there, a happy End the Drought anniversary from yesterday. It was 5 years ago, yesterday, that the drought had ended, and our lives as football fans have not been the same since. And we knew then that getting that monkey off our back was going to be the difference. We didn't know it was going to be this significant of a difference, but this is what got the ball rolling. This is what got Allen not necessarily drafted, but this is what got Allen to play with no pressure as a rookie. It was totally okay that he did not beat out Nathan Peterman his rookie season. Okay? Remember that. And now, obviously, he took over before halftime of the first game, but still, he did not beat out Nathan Peterman for that starting job. And now he's a juggernaut. And the Bills have now made the playoffs 5 out of 6 years under McDermott. As you know, they've won 3 straight AFC Easters. Hey, yo, to you too, Todd. Good to see you, buddy. Happy New Year. Yes, thank you. Happy New Year to you too. But, you know, it's been very funny reading Bill's Twitter, Bill's Mafia Twitter, during the Bears game and then leading up to this game Monday night against Cincinnati. Listen, I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to get out of the way right now. It is one thing to live tweet or Facebook, you know, if you're just a regular fan. But if you're a podcast host or a media member, you really shouldn't be live tweeting during the games. And I know I've said this, but I stay off of Twitter during games unless I want to get on the officials or the commentary. I stay off of Twitter during Bills games. Point being, I'm not going to mention any names, but I know that there's somebody, and I might be going deep here a little bit, but twice during the game against the Bears, he called the offensive line abysmal. They ran the ball for 288 yards. Think before you tweet. That's all I'm saying. All right? Think before you tweet. All right? But seriously, let's go back to that Bears game. 35-13, and the play of the game, truthfully, was Tre'Davious White stopping Cole Kmet on the 4th down and 3 play. I know I'm going back a week, but we weren't live last week, so we're doing it now. That was a huge, listen, it was 21-13. The Bears were driving. That 4th and 3 changed everything. And it got the Bills the ball back, and that was it. By the way, they're down 10-6 at the half. And I wasn't worried. Hi, Jim. Happy New Year to you. Todd says fans should stay off social media in general during games. It might not be a bad idea to do that. It really might not be a bad idea. I tend to do it. I stay off. A bunch of years ago during the drought, it was kind of therapeutic to live Facebook just about after every play. But I just think too many fans and media members want this team to win 35-0. If they don't, something is wrong. No, it isn't. It's the NFL. It's the NFL, and I know a lot of people are looking at more chinks in the armor on Kansas City after narrowly escaping Denver at home. I might get on my soapbox about Nathaniel Hackett here. I know, not Bills related, but I guess I just never respected the guy, and I wasn't surprised that he was fired. He should have never been hired in the first place. You know, we'll get to that in a little bit here. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole yet. But listen, this Bills team is 12-3. Todd says, imagine how Niners fans were on social media today. Yeah, they needed overtime to get by the Raiders today. What a weird week this was in the NFL. Very weird. New Orleans knocks down Philadelphia today, and they are begging for Jalen Hurts to be back. 0-2 now without Jalen Hurts are the Eagles. Still, though, can wrap up home field advantage. Actually, I believe they may have. With Minnesota losing today, I believe they did wrap up home field. Todd, I guess Nathaniel couldn't hack it. I'll see myself out. Very good. We'll get to him in a second here. Interesting thing about the Vikings. I know Barstool hits on this a lot, that the Vikings only play well at 1 o'clock, and it's true. 1 o'clock games this year, the Vikings are 9-1. The one loss was at Detroit. Remember, they played the Bills at 1 o'clock. All right, they're 9-1 at 1 o'clock, or 12 o'clock in Minneapolis there. They're 3-3 at times other than 1 o'clock. Now, they got to play one game in London, which was a 9:30 a.m. Eastern kickoff. But they're a 500 football team with two really ugly blowout losses. Actually, 2.5 really ugly blowout losses when they're not playing at that 1 o'clock time slot. Their closest loss in that 1 o'clock time slot was to the Eagles earlier in the season, but Dallas blew their doors off, and then Green Bay ran them over. Miguel, Happy New Year to you too. And yes, it does appear that the Miami Dolphins were a fluke. I would agree with that. We will talk more about the 5'6", 160-pounder who never played a day of organized sports in his life and is basically using coffee, brains, and chutzpah to run an NFL team. You know, we'll get to that in a second. Jim says Dan Campbell continues to motivate the Lions. Impressive. Jim, you are wrong. It's not motivation. He's scaring the crap out of him. You don't play well, we're going to bite you in the kneecaps. Whoa, Dan Campbell. Get him, buddy. Imagine where they would have been now had they beat Carolina last week. Todd says the Vikings are the Jekyll and Hyde team in the NFL. Either they win close or they get blown out. No, I think they are more of a talented team offensively, but not perfect offensively, and a very flawed defensive team, and the luck is running out. I don't see the luck hanging on long enough for them. And especially given that I don't think a single playoff game is going to be played at 1 o'clock. I don't think a single playoff game gets played at 1 o'clock. I might be wrong on that, but they desperately need to play 1 o'clock games. They're not going to get that. And they're probably toast. They're probably toast. And I mean that truthfully. Because that defense is not good. Dan says that biting him in the kneecaps is motivation. Sure thing. Yes, Jim. Todd, how about the Giants making the playoffs? Odds of Brian Dable winning Coach of the Year. Well, if it's not Kevin O'Connell, it's got to be Dable, right? I mean, Brian Dable, Joe Shane, off of the McDermott and Bean tree, respectively. And you got to give Brian Dable all the credit in the world. And Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. He's not great, but he's good. I think it's fair to say that he is good. And he does a nice job. And good for them. I mean, and that tie helped them get in. Meanwhile, that tie is what's keeping Washington out. Washington got eliminated today at home with the loss to the Browns. We'll get to an updated playoff picture here shortly. But yeah, very interesting. And the Giants are locked into the 6th seed. They apparently they're locked in to that 6th seed. So that would mean right now the Giants are booking a trip to Santa Clara to play the 49ers. Jim says the G-men have never really had great quarterbacks, really. Yeah, I would say that's right. Todd says Ron Rivera might have coached himself out of a job going with Carson Wentz. Listen, Ron Rivera, cancer fighter, it is probably the one thing keeping that program afloat, sincerely. Because that's a dumpster fire over there in the nation's capital, or just outside the nation's capital. That's a really, really, really bad situation, and Ron Rivera has navigated it as well as he could. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible that he's out of a job because you do have such a terribly run organization. And I've been seeing that too with a lot of people. People saying that Kevin Stefanski should be done. In Cleveland. I actually read somebody on Twitter saying that for mishandling Tua, Mike McDaniel could be a one-and-done coach. Todd says that I am not wrong, but he made the wrong choice going back to Carson Wentz. He probably underrated Cleveland's defense. Cleveland's got a pretty stout defense, and they can be effective when they want to be. And that was clearly the case today. But Washington's not that great of an offensive team, and we've known that too. But anyway, I'm Tim Samsel. This is the Western New York Pride and Loyalty Administration's weekly meeting video cast for WNYPLA.com. Check us out there. We try to be live and local with you every Sunday night at 9:30. Tonight we went a little bit late because of the Sabres game, but we're happy to be on with you now. We missed last Sunday because of Christmas, but man, we are happy to be with you now. And for our Sabres groups on Facebook, we are going to talk some Sabres. We know they lost tonight 3-1 to Ottawa, but as long as that doesn't start an 8-game losing streak, I think they'll be okay. Miguel says he doesn't think anyone in the NFC wants to play Green Bay in the playoffs. They're starting to play well. Yeah, honestly, you know what? You think about some of these teams going on the road in the playoffs from either conference, it could be tough. It could be really, really tough. Green Bay's playing well. Detroit's playing well. On the AFC side, the Chargers are playing well. Ain't nobody wanting to play Jacksonville right now. They blew the doors off of Houston today. And they are in a great position. So Todd asks, what's my pick for Sunday Night Football? He's going with Lions-Packers. It's not a bad pick. So keep in mind that there will be a game on ESPN as well. So ESPN will have a game on Saturday night. All right, so ESPN is going to have a game on Saturday night. So here is the Week 18 schedule. And we'll try and pick this apart right now. So Week 18, times are not yet determined. But Tampa Bay at Atlanta, that'll be a 1 o'clock game. New England at Buffalo. Given that New England is now in a win and you're in situation, I believe that'll be a 4 o'clock game. Minnesota at Chicago. The division is already clinched for Minnesota. Chicago with nothing to play for, 1 o'clock game. I think Baltimore at Cincinnati. Baltimore at Cincinnati could be one of the two games at night. It depends on what happens tonight with Baltimore and Pittsburgh and what happens tomorrow night to Cincinnati against Buffalo. Detroit at Green Bay. I believe that's going to be a win and you're in situation. That could be flexed. Houston at Indy will be a 1 o'clock game. Tennessee at Jacksonville for the AFC South title. For the AFC South title. Winning you're in, losing you go home. That game for sure will be flexed. I think that's going to be a Saturday night game. Jets at Dolphins. That's looking like a 4 o'clock game. Carolina at New Orleans, that'll be a 1 o'clock game. Giants at Eagles, 1 o'clock game. Cleveland at Pittsburgh, 1 o'clock game. Dallas at Washington, 1 o'clock game. Chargers at Denver. That'll be a 4 o'clock game due to it being in Denver. Same thing with KC in Las Vegas. Same thing with the Chargers in Seattle. Same thing with Arizona and San Francisco. So I say that though, Chargers, those last 4 games, they're all going to be at 4 o'clock only because they're on the West Coast. That's the only reason why. I can't imagine the NFL making those teams play a morning game to play at the 1 o'clock. If they were, although, try and think here. You know what? Denver never plays a 1 o'clock home game. 1 o'clock for them would be new. A 1 o'clock Eastern game, what would that be, 11 a.m. for them? Yeah, no, not going to happen. So those 4 games, I think all of them would have been 1 o'clock if they were played on the East Coast, but those are going to be 4 o'clock games. So looking at what's going to get flexed to the night slot, I think Saturday night for the AFC South, Tennessee and Jacksonville. I think that's a done deal. I think the Sunday night game is between Baltimore at Cincinnati and Detroit at Green Bay. One of those, if Baltimore-Cincinnati is for the AFC North title, and maybe more importantly, if Lamar Jackson is going to play, that will get the Sunday night slot. Detroit at Green Bay will be a 4:25 game. I do believe with New England in a win-and-you're-in scenario, that looks like a 4 o'clock game to me. However, they may make that a 1 o'clock game if the 4 o'clock game, if they're just too filled in the 4 o'clock time slot. And also depending on whether or not Buffalo, if Buffalo loses tomorrow, they really don't have a shot at the 1 anymore. They would be at the 3. So, Jim, Bean wants to know prediction on Bills Cincy. Listen, primetime game, weather's supposed to be in the 50s, could be a little rainy. I think a primetime game, Bills are undefeated at night, by the way, or in primetime or off of a Sunday. Bills are undefeated in those odd slotted games this year. I think it's a quarterback showcase. Since he's got great weapons, not a great defense. Buffalo has great weapons, better defense. I like the Bills. I think it's going to be a showcase game. I'll say 27-24 Buffalo. And Buffalo will be in it for home field against New England. Now, that said, let's talk about the AFC East. If you were to say to me, Tim, you don't have a choice. You have to pick one team from the AFC East to join you in the playoffs. It would have to be New England. They are clearly the worst of the 3 teams. However, the Jets have been eliminated. So the Jets have been eliminated. Miami here in Buffalo, and the game would be in Buffalo, no matter what. The game would be here. That doesn't worry me a ton, and it worries me less if Tua is out for the year. But New England with Mac Jones as their quarterback, and he's a good quarterback, but they just don't have enough to keep up with the Buffalo Bills. And so, if you had to let a team from the division in, you'd let in New England because they're an easier out than Miami. All right. Let's see. So, my pick for... So, I think we're within... I think there's 3 games, Todd, for next week that could be flex. There's 2 flexible nighttime spots. There's a Saturday night slot on ESPN and the Sunday night slot on NBC. I think Tennessee, Jacksonville, in Jacksonville for the AFC South title is the Saturday night game on ESPN. I think the Sunday night game on NBC is either Detroit and Green Bay or Baltimore at Cincinnati. If it's for the North, I think it would be Baltimore-Cincinnati. Both teams have already clinched a playoff spot, and that may make it more so that it's Detroit and Green Bay. Now that I think about it, Todd, I may have to agree with you here. Yes, they would be playing for the division, but it's not winning you're in, losing you're done. Green Bay, Detroit is for all the marbles. So that, I would say that is the Sunday night game, is Green Bay and Detroit. So Saturday night, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman will get Tennessee, Jacksonville. Sunday night, Tirico and Collins for that go. Oh, here's a guy right here, Mike. Let me tell you about Jared Goff. Oh my God. Jim, I admit I do not understand your question. But yes, I think it will be Green Bay and Detroit. I would agree with that. That would be the Sunday night game, and I think that'll be a blast. All right. Updated playoff scenarios. Let's get to that, shall we? All right, playoff picture as of right now. Well, given that the Bills have not played yet, KC currently has the 1 seed. Buffalo the 2, Cincinnati the 3. Nobody has the 4. Baltimore in the 5. And the Chargers are in the 6. Okay? Currently, Jacksonville holds the 4. And New England holds the 7. Miami is in the 8th spot. Pittsburgh needs a win to stay in. They're in the 9th spot. All right? Tennessee is still in it because of the AFC East or the AFC South game. All right? They would have one of the further down tiebreakers. So even though they would split the series, if Tennessee were to win, they would get in at 8 and 9. Where if Jacksonville wins, they would get in at 9 and 8. Will Baltimore's Justin Tucker go down as the best kicker of all time? No, because he hasn't had to do it in the Super Bowl. It will be Vinatieri, followed by the Anderson boys, Morton and Gary, and then Tucker will be up there. That's basically what you're looking at on that. Good question. So that's the AFC picture. The Jets were eliminated today. Cleveland already eliminated. Okay? On the NFC side, looks like this. The Eagles have clinched the 1 seed with a 13-3 record. They have the head-to-head on the Vikings. Well, actually, no. They haven't clinched the 1. Because San Fran is 12-4, they now have the 2. The Vikings are in the 3. Those 3 teams, all 4 divisions have been clinched. Tampa Bay has clinched the NFC South with their win today over Carolina. Dallas has the 5. That's wrapped up. The Giants, what a job by Brian Dable. They are in the 6. Currently, if the season were to end today, Seattle has the 7. Detroit and Green Bay right there. And that's it. 3 teams for 1 spot. And Seattle in Week 18 has the Rams. So basically, for Seattle, it's win and they're in. For the Seahawks, it is win and they are in. That's what we're looking at for Week 18. Is a win and in for the Seahawks. How do the Steelers get in? So, taking a look here, Steelers would be, if they win tonight, they would be 8 and 8. Which, by the way, if they win tonight, that would put the Ravens at 10 and 6. That might clinch the division for the Bengals without even having to play. Okay? No, Dallas cannot get the 1 seed. No, I believe Philadelphia has clinched the division. They have not. Okay. So Dallas is still in play for the 1. Oh my God, that would be awful. Philly and San Fran would both have to lose, and Dallas would then have to win. Philly has the Giants. Let's look at the Steelers, though. Question was about the Steelers. Steelers would be 8 and 8, and they would be in a 4-way situation, or a 3-way situation rather, with Miami and New England. I don't know how that works out. I have no idea. Not a clue. Basically, I would assume, well, if Pittsburgh wins, we'd have to see if that puts them ahead of Miami. If it puts them ahead of Miami, then they get in with a win and a win and a New England loss and a Miami loss. And I think the same would go if they lose tonight, they're out. If they lose tonight, they would basically be out at 7-9. Not necessarily. Because if Miami were to lose and the Patriots were to lose, that would also put them. Let me see here. Well, no, I think that would eliminate them. It eliminated the Jets at 7-9. Cleveland's eliminated at 7-9. I can't believe Dallas is still in it for the 1 seed, but given that Philadelphia's lost 2 in a row, that makes sense. It really does. I want to talk a little bit about just going back to that Bills game in Chicago. And I've been asked, does it make me want to dome more? And the answer is yes. Yes, it does. Because I don't think the game is close in a dome. I think you would get similar to what Detroit did to Chicago today in a dome. I have been for a dome, some type of an actual roof, whether retractable or just fully enclosed, since talks of a new stadium have been coming on. I've been for it since day one because, to me, I think it's too short-sighted to only be for the Bills. I want it to be a year-round facility, which means the roof would have to have the ability to be shut. And here's the thing, too. Had they put a roof on it, even at 61,000 seats, we get a Super Bowl here. We get a Super Bowl here if the roof is on it. A Final Four comes here, a WrestleMania, a Royal Rumble, a college bowl game. Possibly even you could bid for the college national championship game if you had a roof. Jim says retractable. I agree. And it's really unfortunate how the inflation has worked and how much this stadium is going to cost, because honestly, for the last 14 years, I think for many Bills fans that have wanted a retractable roof, it would just be build Indianapolis Stadium here. They built that for $750 million. Buffalo, we're paying double that. And we're not getting a roof. Chris says the Garbage Plate Bowl has a nice ring. I would assume it would be the Wing Bowl. Maybe not. I don't know. Would be a better venue for sporting events, concerts. Yeah. Then you can get the big stadium concerts in March and not have to wait till July and August. I want it to be a year-round facility, but also I think the Bills, especially the way they're constructed now, would fare better in an indoor facility. In fact, you go back to the game against Cleveland, I was thrilled it was played in Detroit. I was thrilled. I thought if it wasn't 8 feet of snow, I thought a snow-covered field would benefit Cleveland. And instead, the Bills score 31, win that game 31-23. And that was that. Listen, the only reason why I say why not a Garbage Plate Bowl is because the game is in Buffalo, not Rochester. So I would assume it'd be more like the Wing Bowl. You know, the Anchor Bar Wing Bowl or something. It wouldn't be the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl. That's for sure. Man, but there'd be a mutiny if that happened. But And here's the thing, too. We're all counting on this stadium being built fully above ground to block some of that wind. To my knowledge, Soldier Field is built fully above ground. It wasn't blocking much of that wind. Yeah, think about noise. Jim makes a good point. Think about noise in enclosed stadium. Game changer. Yeah, and I mean, Seattle has done it right. I think they're looking for the Seattle effect in a smaller stadium. I think they're going to get that because Bills fans are pretty loud already in a very open stadium. I admit, and I think I've said this on the show, I don't know how much it would cost. You need to insulate the thing. Just build one of those steel buildings over the current stadium. Just build it right over the scoreboard and the lights. What's it got to be, 50 feet high? Just put a gigantic steel building over it. What's that going to cost, $3-4 million? Doesn't need to be fully lit, right? Just put a garage on top of it. It would be loud, everything bouncing off that steel, let me tell you. Chris says a Ranger Stadium, like they do in Dallas, makes so the sun always shines on the opposition, make it so they have to deal with the climate. One, they already do that. They already do that. Buffalo is on the east side of the stadium, so that especially their sidelines on the east side of the stadium, so during a 1 o'clock game, September, October, they have the shade, and I have sat in those 300s in those September, October 1 o'clock games when it's still 70 degrees out, and me with my dark skin, I've still gotten pretty baked, pretty sunburned from that. So they do that already. Mind you, it's not the same advantage Miami has. Yeah, Carrier Dome is pretty loud. 49.5, which they normally don't get in that building, but yep. Very true, Jim. Very, very true. I like the Bills tomorrow. Tight one. We're going to be on the edge of our seat all night. 27-24. I tell you what, I want to be on the edge of the seat before the game because what is ESPN and ABC going to do when the Rose Bowl runs over? Rose Bowl starts at 5 o'clock, more like 5:15 by the time they get done with all the festivities. That game never ends in 3 hours. That game will probably go to about 9. Now, the Rose Bowl, to my knowledge, is only going to be on ESPN, not on ABC. So, where the Monday night game is going to be on both ESPN and ABC. So, my suggestion is to have it on ABC on Monday night. Hopefully they'll pull it out like my Sabres did yesterday. No, they're not, Chris. Where did you read that? Tim, will I watch the regular broadcast or the Manning cast? The regular one. I love the Manning cast, but I can't be focused on it's just the screen's too small. Like, I need to see the whole field and the screen, no disrespect to Peyton and Eli, but I don't need to see their ugly mugs. It must have been when I had to turn it off to do the whole celebrating thing, Chris. That would be weird. I can't imagine the NFL, nor can I imagine people in Cincinnati being thrilled. Hey, get here in time for an 8:15 kickoff, but we're not going to start till 9:30. I think that's going to go over like a fart in church. I think that'll be a big mistake. But they might. I won't like it because I go back to work the next morning. So that game kicks off at 9:30. It ain't getting done till close to 1 in the morning. All right? And we're not and listen, the game is in Cincinnati. We're not talking about a West Coast game here. Wouldn't it make more sense to move up the starting time of the Rose Bowl? Todd, yes it would. But you're talking about the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl delayed the ability for the college football playoff to expand until they made sure that they were still guaranteed New Year's Day at 2 p.m. local time, which is 5 p.m. here in the East. You know, they've given up on always being Pac-10 Pac-12 Big 12 in the name of being a college football playoff semifinal. But they have the parade in the morning, and then the game is at 2. They've done it that way for nearly 100 years. So, no, the Bills will be wearing all white tomorrow. Jim asked, will the Bengals wear their ice all white? No, the Bills are going to be in all white tomorrow. We know that already. The Bills will be in the whiteouts, all whites. They won't, which I like. I like the red jersey, and I like the red pants. I just don't like it together. Give me the white with the red pants. I think that would look slick. I don't know how good the blue would look with the red pants, but the white with the red pants I think would look great. I think the red jersey on the white pants would look great. I don't need to be red on red every time they wear red. But then again, though, the Sabres, when they do the reverse retro whites, I love the jersey. I hate the white pants. The white pants are brutal. Should we talk some Sabres? Sabres had won 6 in a row before falling tonight 3-1 to Ottawa. They didn't play poorly, just a little sloppy. Gave up that goal 47 seconds in. Listen now, good hockey team here. The Sabres are fun to watch. They are a blast. And they're bigger than they look. They are bigger than they seem. They are way more physical than they look on paper. Rasmus Dahlin, for learning the game on the European side where there's less checking, boy, that kid is physical. Alex Tuck is physical. Tage Thompson has just become a real beast. And I don't need them to constantly go on winning streaks. As long as this loss doesn't lead to another 8-game losing streak, this team is going to be fine. And I think Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has really shown up and have put the Sabres in quite a bind on what to do when Comrie comes back from injury. I think UPL has proven that he's ready. Now, let's talk about the Saturday game, the afternoon game at Boston. Best team in the NHL. By the way, Bruins hosting the Penguins in the Winter Classic at Fenway Park on Monday. It's a 2 o'clock face-off. I believe it's on it's on TNT. TNT will have it tomorrow because ESPN will have bowl games. So TNT will have the Winter Classic. But Boston's hands down the best team in the NHL. Buffalo got a quick 1-0 lead on them. Boston tied it. Buffalo took the lead back 2-1. Third period, Boston scores 2. It's 3-2. Buffalo goes down 2 guys with 6.5 to go. They have to kill a 2-minute 5-on-3, and one of those penalties was a 4-minute double minor for high sticking on Peterka. They kill it off beautifully, and then just a vision by Rasmus Dahlin to think that that was a set play, knowing that icing could happen. What a great play. Dumps the puck in from his zone hard. Tuck wins the race, plays it back to Cousins for the one-timer, ties the game at 3. The Sabres then win it in overtime on Alex Tuck's goal, and they're scoring in bunches. They're the highest scoring team in the NHL right now. The power play just struggled tonight against Ottawa, and it has. They won't play the Senators again until officially the final game of the regular season, although we are waiting to find out when the game against Columbus will be rescheduled. That could be rescheduled for after that game. Tell you what, too. That crowd on Thursday night in the arena to see the Sabres wallop Detroit 6-3. They were up 5-0 before winning at 6-3. Okposo gets the hat trick. Kudos to the crowd. Kudos to the fans getting out of their house. I caught a little bit of the Red Wings broadcast of that game, and they were really congratulating the city of Buffalo and the people for surviving this terrible storm. And, it was disheartening to know 39 people lost their lives in this blizzard, in this snowstorm. But I thought the hockey team and the city rallied really well, and the Sabres after the game tweeted, "This one's for you, Buffalo," and I completely agree with that, and it was great to see. Going back to football, Todd wants to know on the thoughts on the Raiders moving on from Derek Carr. Makes sense. Carr's been sketchy. You know what? Going back 5 or 6 years, he has not been the same since he had the broken leg. We'll have to wait and see where they go, where the Raiders go from here. Jarrett Stidham looked great. And let me say this, too. What's the name of the 49ers defensive coordinator? Because he got exposed today. And maybe NFL coaches in general got exposed today. Because what's the excuse? Well, we didn't have any film on Jarrett Stidham. You have the best defense in football, and you let a career backup light you up. Light you up. I'm sorry. If that's what you need, if you can't think on your feet and be smart enough to make changes on the fly, then what are you doing? Why are you here? And the same goes for Nathaniel Hackett. Let's remember, son of the coach Paul Hackett. Terrible with Doug Marrone as the offensive coordinator at Syracuse. Terrible with Doug Marrone as the offensive coordinator of the Bills. Terrible with Doug Marrone as the offensive coordinator of the Jaguars. He had Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. He should never have been considered for an NFL head coaching job. And the fact that he had to hire somebody to help him with clock management. Dude, you've been coaching football your entire adult life. You don't know how to manage a clock? Why are you here? Why are you here, Nathaniel Hackett? If that's what you need, go down to modified football and learn. Learn how to coach. It seems like the coach in the NFL, you need to be able to invent a foreign language and know somebody. That's what it seems like. No disrespect to Sean McDermott. We love you, Sean. Love you, Sean. But, D'Amico Ryans, thank you. D'Amico Ryans, exposed. Exposed. I feel like that Geico commercial with the ants. Expired. Exposed. D'Amico Ryans, exposed. Nathaniel Hackett, exposed. Chris says Nathaniel Hackett got exposed today. Broncos actually had a better mood on the sideline today. No infighting, nothing like that. Well, sure. Sure, you get a fresh start. Todd says this falls on the Broncos management, specifically John Elway. Did John Elway? I thought John Elway stepped away. Maybe not. Maybe he stepped away after hiring Hackett. But the point is, these NFL coaches, most of them I'm not impressed with. I'm impressed, despite the fact that they're formed, 5-11 now, or the Rams. I'm impressed by Sean McVay. I admit, I don't find him to be the winningest coach, but as regards to building a culture, riding the wave, dealing with the ebbs and flows of an NFL season, I've got a lot of respect for Ron Rivera. And the fact, too, that he's been fighting cancer. A lot of respect for Ron Rivera. We all know how I feel about Sean McDermott. Andy Reid is up there. We're going to find out tomorrow if Zach Taylor belongs on that list. Mike McDaniel does not belong on that list. Let's just say that right now. That's Chris. I'm not going to repeat your comment, but you're absolutely right. Yeah. I'll put it to you this way. He didn't step out of line in the staging area when God was handing out parents. Okay? We'll put it to you like that. But I know that they speak a foreign language, and that's how they're able to disguise their playbooks. You know, it's not a 78 hitch corner. It's a 787 banana 334 Wanda X right 3Z left. Okay, great. I'm really glad you could come up with that. But do you know when to call it? Chris says Tim just won the TACT award in describing my post. Thank you. Actually, at my real job, I spend time teaching TACT. Todd says if the people at the top don't know what the hell they're doing, this is what you get. Perfect example is Jim Irsay in Indy. Listen, Jim Irsay was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple. And listen, he's a chip off the old block. If you've seen Elway to Marino, you know that Bob Irsay, the Baltimore Colt owner that moved the team to Indy, was a psychopath, and Jim's in the same boat. So there you go. There's that. All right, let's talk Syracuse here. Jim had some things on Syracuse that we didn't get to yet. Said the Orange dominated the Gophers on the stat sheet, but yeah, that part didn't really matter. Not a great performance in the Pinstripe Bowl. They covered the 11-point spread, but not a great performance. We knew it wouldn't be. They missed some big players due to the transfer portal and opting out to go into the NFL draft, losing Sean Tucker. Listen, they were in it. They're down 14-10, and then Schrader throws the pick six, and that's basically the game. Chris says Jim Irsay was born standing on third with a glass of bourbon in his hand. Hell, dude, if I could stand on first with a glass of bourbon in my hand, I would have taken it. Absolutely. Look at them benching Matt Ryan. Made no sense. Washed up, man. Unfortunately. And Jeff Saturday's going to do what Jeff Saturday's going to do. Jim also said about the basketball team, who looked really good in their win over Boston College, had to ride out a storm for a little while, but pulled away late and won that game. They're 2-1 in the ACC. He thinks a slow start will put them in the NIT. They've got to have a winning record to get to the NIT. They have to have a winning record. Now, they play Louisville next, and man, you talk about a program that is down. Oh, boy. Louisville got rid of Rick Pitino and lit a match, is what happened to that. Did I catch any of the Liberty Bowl? Some of the first quarter. That was Arkansas and Kansas. Some of the first quarter, I didn't get to see the whole thing. That went to overtime. I did get to watch basically the entire Fiesta Bowl last night, and I watched the first nearly 3 quarters of the Peach Bowl. Louisville has fallen faster than a blind roofer. That's beautiful. That's a great. Kudos to you, Todd. That's a great comment, buddy. Louisville has fallen faster than a blind roofer. Love it. But man, TCU, they really exposed Michigan's defense in that game. And you wonder, though, too, how much having that 4 weeks really messes up a team. You know, you really got to wonder how much that hurts an an NCAA team, a college football team. 4 weeks is a long, long time. Jim says, don't be surprised if SU loses at the Yum Center. I won't be surprised, but I'll be pretty devastated. Jim also says Ravens leading 13-9 with 10 minutes to go. And Chris building off of Todd's comment, and much like the blind roofer, Louisville didn't see the fall coming. Hey-oh! They can't lose to Louisville even on the road. They've got to beat that team if they have any shot at the NIT. Because now it's getting in the conference season, as you know, Jim. And Boeheim calling out his team like that after the Pitt loss is just... You can't do that anymore, Jim. You just can't. I tried everything and it just doesn't work. I'm going to pick my nose here and see what happens. Jim, love ya. No, don't do that. What I do want you to do, though, is tell your friends about the show and the site. We are the weekly meeting video cast for the Western New York Pride and Loyalty Administration at WNYPLA.com. Live and local with you every Sunday night. We will be back with you Sunday at 9:30. And we'll talk more. We'll talk more Bills, Sabres, and Syracuse with you there. Follow me on Twitter at Tim the Commish. Like our page on Facebook. Like and subscribe to our WNYPLA YouTube channel. You can comment down below there, and hopefully we'll start going live on YouTube soon as well. Real quick here. Todd says thoughts on Harbaugh going back to the NFL. Just rumors at this point, but you never know. No, he signed a long-term deal to stay at Michigan. He's won two straight Big Ten titles. He's beaten Ohio State 2 years in a row. I think he'll stay at least one more year at Michigan. He's got a good quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. Kyle says no meeting after the game tomorrow. Buddy, if this game ends at 1 a.m. tomorrow, there won't be. We might do an emergency meeting if it kicks off on time and gets done before midnight. Then we might do an emergency meeting with you for post game. But right now, I wouldn't count on it. I would count on us waiting it out till Sunday, just because it's gonna be a late night tomorrow night. On that note, Happy New Year to everybody. I am Tim Samsell. Until next time, go Bills, go Sabres, go Cuse. Tell someone at home you love them. Happy New Year. See ya.